The cultural DNA, it's an extremely important topic today. It's the other side of the globalization. We started 20 years ago to develop with the Future Concept Lab a Genius Loci program. It's a program of research giving the centrality, the priority to the analysis of the cultural DNA on the field, on specific places. Genius Loci is a Latin expression meaning the talent of the place. So 20 years ago, the idea of globalization was the idea of homologization, homogenization, McDonaldization of the world, and was not so clear that, at the contrary, the direction of the future will be exactly the opposite. So the possibility to transform, to translate the local in global, starting from the uniqueness of the local. So the Genius Loci today is much more clear for us. It's really a very important challenge, because starting from the local dimension, the local thinking, we can create something in universal terms, starting from the difference. So it's exactly the opposite of the idea of the think globally and act locally. We think that it's much more important to think locally and act globally, because in this way we can really translate the local in global, and we can learn from the diversity. Just in this way we can do it. So we decided to use this idea of the unique and universal, so the idea that the uniqueness is the most important value for us, to pollinate, to create a sort of pollination platform in the company's cultures, in the public administration. So just learning from the other, from the diverse, so the Brazilians from the Americans from the Europeans. So really giving the possibility to create this kind of pollination, starting from the uniqueness of the local. So the Genius Loci is the real cultural DNA, is the genetic code. But then we have not to defend our diversity, we have just to irradiate, we have to multiply, and we have to accept the challenge to meet the diversity. And the identity is not the idea to defend our DNA. It's really exactly the opposite. So the idea that we can grow up, that we can create identity as a system of relationships. So this is really for us the most important. We are doing it in Future Concept Lab, working with companies, working with different protagonists of change today, but we are doing it also in a new association, the Renaissance Link, because in Italy here and also in the Mediterranean, so we are in Palermo now, so we are in Palermo on the sea, and we are really living this idea of pollination. It's in the air, it's in the sea, it's in the landscape. So the idea that we can start with a new Renaissance, working on the links, so on the unexpected link. So innovation is the idea to build up something that is not probable, it's something absolutely unexpected. So the Mediterranean culture is a permanent building of the reality, starting from the unexpected, starting from the meeting points that are not programmable. We can't program, we can't really use the linear thinking to do it. We have to think out of the box, and in the Mediterranean thinking, in the Mediterranean culture, it's really spontaneous to do it. So the idea of unexpected links is absolutely important. So the challenge is to understand better this passage from the uniqueness to the universality, understanding that local and global are not fighting one against the other, but that the uniqueness, the local, can build up the global. This is the global brain, is the idea of the web. But the web is just to rediscover that our brain functions exactly in the same terms. So we are web, personally, physically. We are a net just in our biological life. So starting from this idea, we can work in terms of new relationship. And the association, the Renaissance Link, can be a platform where different projects, different programs, different thinking can really have the same challenge, that is the innovation in terms of new horizon and new frontiers. So this is the possibility to share knowledge. The multidisciplinarity is clearly the future, but we need to have new practical rules to do it. And in this association, the idea is really to exchange with other culture, with other people, with other thinking, this kind of possible grow dimension starting from our brains. So local and global are not in opposite, but the same is Mediterranean dimension and Atlantic dimension are in the same direction today. And really the dimension of sharing, the dimension of the possibility to be sustainable, but sustainable in real terms. So just starting from our balance in the life are new paradigms. We can't speak about trends today. We have to start from the idea that this change is a deep change. Probably every 50 years we have this kind of change, and we have to discover altogether, using this pollination, the new paradigms. So this is a little bit our challenge with Future Concept Lab, with the Renaissance Link, with this idea to associate new ideas, but using very clear rules, and really fighting with the idea that all is relative. So the postmodern culture for us is something that can't permit the people to understand what is true, what is beautiful, and starting from this we can really build up a completely different way to live.